Welcome to 10 questions and 10 answers in your health problems. We have a very privileged guest today, Professor Mehmet Ali Ergün. He's from Gazi University, Faculty of Medicine, and he's actually a head of Department of Medical Genetics in the same university. And also he has a very important position in the Turkish Medical Genetics Society. He's the president of the society actually. So I should say he's the most actually valuable person in this field. So he will answer our questions about genetics and cancer today. Welcome to our program, Professor Ergün.
Thank you, Professor Şenköylü. I would like to thank for your great speech about me. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Let's start our questions actually. The first question, of course, are cancers familial or inherited? Can you explain something about this?
Actually, most of the cancers are sporadic, but about 5 to 10% of the cancers are inherited. So we have cancer families. In the cancer family, some of the members may have ovarian cancer or breast cancer or colon cancer, brain tumors, and so on. So cancer, unfortunately, can be inherited about 10%.
Wow, this is a really big percentage.
Yes.
Can we summarize like this? Some of the cancer types, not all of them,
Yes.
probably, especially breast, colon cancer, brain cancer, and some kind of, I think, leukemia or some kind of this kind of cancers, right? Are familial in summary.
Also, genetic predisposition is very important in such of these cancers, hematological cancers. But especially the somatic cancers, the genetic inheritance is very important.
Very important. Okay, I see. Our second question will be for the Professor Ergün is, can we diagnose familial cancers?
Yes, as a medical genetist, our work is to diagnose them by our genetic testing in our laboratories. So we can diagnose them with our instruments, molecular genetics instruments. So we can easily diagnose, but only the familial ones, not the sporadic ones.
I see. Is that actually this kind of how do you say diagnose is expensive one, or is a not that expensive?
Well, it differs from gene to gene because most of our panels are expensive, but if you are searching for a single gene or a single mutation point in a gene, it will be cheap. So it will differ from gene to gene, panel to panel, but the insurance company generally pays for this for these studies, but you have to tell them that it is inherited. If it is sporadic, they will not pay.
Okay, I see. Companies. But it will change
from country to country, from the country
for the
country.
regulations.
Yes,
and some countries reimbursement is available for this kind of tests.
Yes, sure.
I see. Okay, great. Our third question will be what is hereditary breast ovarian cancer?
First of all, as I tell you before, there are family cancers. So in this family cancers, some of the members have breast cancers, some of them will have ovarian cancers, such as a patient, a female patient admit to our department, and if we ask to learn her story or his story, we learn that her mother and grandmother also has this cancer, ovarian or breast cancer. So this is hereditary breast and ovarian cancer for the family or the inherited cancer type. So it's very important. If you diagnose one of them, you will diagnose the other members of the family. So it's very important to make diagnosis in these families. This hereditary breast cancer.
Okay, that means a
cancers.
kind of cross relation between two cancer
Yes.
types, breast and ovarian cancer. So if
Yes.
someone is a breast cancer in a family, then daughter or sibling or someone, another
Yes.
lady can be ovarian cancer. That's why you need to screen for this, right?
Yes, about 50% to transmit this mutated gene to the progeny. It's a risk, 50% of risk that transmitting the disease or the mutated gene.
Okay, I see. Actually, you used too many times gene
Yes.
term. So
Yes.
my fourth question will be, what is a gene?
Yes, you are very right. A gene is a functional unit of our organism. And the gene is especially important for making proteins of all over the body. About we have 20,000 genes in
our
our
body.
organism, in human organism. And it consists about 1% of our whole genome. That about 20,000 genes compromises about the 1% of whole our genome. So what are other ones? Some of them call them the junk DNA or other parts of the DNA. But especially we have lots of genes, and some of them may cause us cancers. Some of them may cause us other inherited diseases, single gene diseases such as cystic fibrosis, spinal muscular atrophies, thalassemias, and so on.
I see. Then can we say that just 1% of our genes in our body is functional?
Yes.
And the other ones are non-functional.
Yes, you're
99%.
right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, great. My fifth question will be: can genes cause cancer directly?
Yes, especially first of all, they almost make predisposition to a cancer, but especially some of them will eventually cause cancer, and some of them will almost cause cancer because they are generally, their work in our genome is to repair. As their role is for repairing our genome, if there is a mutation or a problem in these kinds of genes, there will be a problem also in our genome, and it will cause us uncontrolled cell growth, proliferation, growth, and overgrowth. It will cause cancer.
I see. I see. Can we say that are there any actually this one is my sixth question. Are there any genes that cause specifically breast cancer?
Yes, their name, we call them as BRCAs, BRCA1 and BRCA2. Also, they are repair genes. They have function for the repair of the genome with the ultraviolet or other physical environment or changes on DNA. So if there is a problem, we call it as a mutation in this BRCA1 or BRCA1 or BRCA2, it will cause to cancer, but not 100%. If a mutation or problem is on BRCA1, it will cause 80% of the women to be cancer, breast or ovarian. And if a mutation occurs in BRCA2, it will cause 50% of them will cause to be cancer, breast or ovarian.
Okay, I see. But this is a bit maybe our audience can think about this a bit complicated because
Yes. Yes, it's
BRCA proteins and other or genes are other things so on. So I will actually ask a seventh question about this one. What are the BRCA genes? Can you explain a bit more, please?
As I tell you before, they are especially for the repair of our genome, because our genome, there are lots of physical, chemical, or other disturbances to our DNA. So their function is to repair them. So the mutations causes them not to work. So if there's not any repair in our genome, it will cause overgrowth and so on. So it
Some
will
kind of
cause
tumor.
ovarian cancer, and also other than breast or ovarian cancer, recently we know that the mutations or the problems in these genes will cause to pancreas and also prostate cancer.
I see.
Recently.
Then we can say that if these BRCA genes cannot repair the specific gene sequences, then
Yes.
they can be converted to tumor and they can be predisposed the tumor-like lesions or cancers or this kind of problems in our body, right?
Sure. Yes, and also it's not, as I tell you before, 100%. They only make a predisposition
Yes,
to
I
the
see.
cancer development. So I think we'll talk later. But if we find a mutation in a person, in a human, it's important to understand what is this mutation or the problem in her genome, because it will not, some of them will not have the cancer. About
I see.
50 to 80% will have the cancer, but some of them will not have the cancer. So we have to discuss it with the patient.
Okay. In this point, I would like to ask a burning question. Actually, this one is the eighth question. Is early diagnosis of familial cancer
Yes.
possible?
Sure, it's possible for this. If you know the mutation or the problem in the family, early diagnosis is possible. You just make the analysis in the progeny of the family, and you may tell them, yes, you will eventually have breast cancer or ovarian cancer in the future. So this is the early diagnosis, but also actually the clinicians, especially the surgeons, the gynecological and obstetricians, and also medical oncologists are
Okay.
very important for this early diagnosis. But for the early molecular genetic diagnosis, we can trace the mutation in the progeny of the family, and also we call the first patient that having the cancer, we call her or him as index patient.
I see. Then the clinicians, including like general surgeons, gynecologists, or medical oncologists, or internal medicine,
Yeah.
whatever specialist, they need to pick up some risk groups in
Yes.
families,
Yes.
and then they refer to you
Yes.
in order to screen for the early diagnosis. Right? Am I right?
Yes, it's very important, and also we give them genetic counseling about their family also after.
Okay, at this moment, actually, first I would like to actually ask about my ninth question. Will be this one: what is the genetic testing? And I will ask another question about this important topic.
Generally, genetic testing is to test the genes all of our body, about 20,000 genes, as I said before. But specifically, we can test only one or two genes, such as in BRCA1, BRCA1 or BRCA2, or other gene panels, and also all of our genes. We call this whole exome sequencing. So I mean that we can either analyze one gene, one by one, 10 genes, 1,000 genes, or 20,000 genes of all of our body. But the indication is very important. If there is a specific cancer mutation, we only analyze one or two genes or 10 genes, so on. But if there's a very big problem, such as mental retardation or other abnormalities, we just test all of our functional genes, all of our in our body.
I see. It depends on which kind of disease you would like to screen. That's
Yes.
why you never use the specific panel, but you need to define or describe
Yes.
which panel the patient need, and then you just
Yes.
do this test, right?
Just by step.
I see.
Our recommendation is to perform the test step by step. Also, in our country and maybe in the other countries, the insurance company will pay indication by indication.
I see.
For this analysis.
I see. My last question will be, the 10th one is what is genetic counseling?
Especially genetic counseling is to give advice to the family. First of all, to define the problem, cancer or other problems, giving first of all an history, then drawing a pedigree, understanding the sick patient, cancer patient, so on. We call this index patient. Then among the index patient, we search for the other patients that may be at risk. The progenies, the close relatives, such as in breast and ovarian cancer or colon cancers, if we find a mutation, we may all search all of the family. That we may save lots of lives if you search for it. So genetic counseling is very important. And also, if you find a mutation in BRCA1 or BRCA2, we tell the patient that she will not eventually may have the cancer, because only 80% of the women will have cancer. But we counsel her that please just carefully go to your oncologist, just wait, and when if a cancer occurs by the early diagnosis, just the surgeon may then make mastectomy or other operations, surgical operations may occur, but not all of them. If you find a mutation, we will not tell them that you have to go to surgery or oncologist and so on. But it's step by step. So
I see.
With our genetic counseling, we define the problem and give advise the patient and also the close relatives.
And this actually is a kind of awareness, right?
Yes.
If the patient aware of they may have or develop a cancer, then
Yes.
they be careful about the screening, and they need to actually admit to a specific physician
Yes.
in a specific time periods that allows also the early diagnosis, which is very important for the cancer, right? Am I right?
Yes, you are very right. Some of our the oncologists sent their patients to us in order to give us genetic counseling to them, and in some of the circumstances I also send my patient to oncologist. So we have a close relation also with the medical oncologist. It's very important.
I see. And in this, actually, within the same question, I know that this is not the real subject of today, but genetic counseling is also very important for the congenital malformations, right? Because in African countries, is also Turkey is like this. Yes. They may have some kind of congenital problems.
Yes.
So how can we use the genetic counseling in order to prevent some kind of congenital problems?
Especially awareness is very important because we have to study we have to examine the children physically, and also we take the blood and we just make the diagnosis. If we find the causative mutation in the gene, the problem in the gene, then we first of all counsel the family. But secondly, also, if there's a genetic problem and if the family carries the mutation, we also give them with the obstetrician, with the IVF, in vitro fertilization unit, that having a healthy baby in their next pregnancy. So it's very important to find the causative mutation. And if the mutation is carried by the family members, we just advise them in the second pregnancy, please come to us and the IVF clinic. will just make you a pre-implantation genetic diagnosis in order to exclude this mutated gene, all of your genome, and the new, your next pregnancy, your child will be healthy.
I see. I see. This is also very important for the genetic counseling is very important for congenital malformations as well. Today we have very good explanation and answers regarding the genetics and its relation to cancer actually, and we have also a piece of cake about the congenital malformations and genetic counseling at the end. So I actually appreciate your contribution to our program. And we had very actually important and valuable guest today, Professor Mehmet Ali Ergün. As I mentioned before, he is the head of the Department of Medical Genetics in Gazi University and also president of the Turkish Medical Genetics Society. Thank you very much for your actually contribution to our program together with the Professor Ergün and all of the audience. And I would like to say stay safe and healthy until the next program.